Very good to have you on the show. Now, Angela Merkel, we know she's on her way out, but it seems that her last months in power could be very troublesome.
Absolutely, it's a disgrace. I mean, it's now at the end of March. Germany is vaccinating for 3 months, but merely 10% of Germans have received at least one jab, which is about a fifth compared to the United Kingdom. It looks a bit that last year, Germany, its initial COVID response was fairly good. Yeah. But then the politicians, Merkel's government was just like going relaxed the summer and the fall and not even thinking about, oh, we've ordered these vaccines, actually not enough. But what do we do with them? So we just heard that over the Easter holidays in Germany, which is a bunch of bank holidays in Germany, a lot of the vaccine centers will be closed. I mean, can we afford to delay it another couple of weeks that the population gets vaccinated? No, we can't. Even at the current rate, we'll only have 40% of the population vaccinated at the end of the year. And Germany is the country where the BioNTech Pfizer vaccine was invented, right? So it's just a massive, massive failing of the government. And on top of that, Merkel's party, the Christian Democrats, have one scandal after another. There are members of parliament who were involved in some kickback schemes, who are procuring masks. Some other members of parliament now are involved with some corruption scandal with Azerbaijan, some autocratic country. And the problem is voters don't have much of a choice because the Social Democrats, which would be Labour in the UK, also are in that government. So that means voters have to look what else is there. And there's the Green Party, and there's the Free Democratic Party, which is like a centrist free market party. And these parties currently seeing a big uptake because at the end of Merkel's legacy, after 16 years, she really shows that she has nothing under control in Germany.
Indeed so. With the prospect potentially of a Green Party chancellor, is this possible? And what could be the implications for the German economy, which is based so much on industry?
That is an interesting question. I mean, there is definitely a very strong anti-automotive movement within the Greens. They want to have speed limits on the highway. You know, Germans are very proud of that. There are in many parts of the highway, there are no speed limits. So there is definitely a certain deindustrialization the Greens would drive. But also keep in mind, the Greens might become the largest party, but we're a multi-party system. So the Greens would have to go in coalition probably with 2 other political parties. And then everyone would have to make some concessions and compromises.
Indeed. It seems that Angela Merkel has had an amazing career in politics. She has been, at times, Fred, the most respected politician in Europe, if not the world. Seen as a very steady pair of hands, and she has survived many political, problems. However, it's a shame for her that she seems to have fallen at the last hurdle, which is coronavirus and the vaccine.
Yes, it's a shame. Also, to add additional blame to Merkel, she was the person who nominated Ursula von der Leyen to become head of the EU Commission. And von der Leyen takes quite a big part of blame for the EU's failed vaccine procurement. You see the massive difference between the United Kingdom and the EU 27 when it comes to getting our hands on vaccines and actually getting them to people so we can get back to normal. And unfortunately, Merkel's legacy will probably end with this totally failed COVID response. And she might have asked herself if it would have been better to only rule for 3 terms or 3.5 terms and not go into these last 2 years where her legacy seems to be a disaster.
And how is Germany at the moment in regards to COVID cases, Fred?
Cases are on the rise. I think the 7-day incidence is around 135 and it's going heavily up. So because there is another wave and those countries that were quick with vaccinating, as you can see in the UK, partially the US, Israel and the UAE, which are countries that also see their cases partially going up. But now you have a population which is where 1 out of 2 people on the street in the UK got at least 1 jab. Right, and that helps to reduce the severity of the cases, the amount of infections, the so-called R rate, and also the death rates, because we start vaccinating with the vulnerable, which then allows us that maybe younger people still get COVID, don't end up in hospital, or at least don't die.
Fred, a real delight to have you on the programme. Thank you for joining us. Fred Cyrus Roeder is a German broadcaster, health economist and managing director of the Consumer Choice Centre.